Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th. Wah. Sorry, I couldn't. No, I'm not gonna do the Jason Voorhees music myself, but you've all got it playing in your head if you're a fan of the horror movies. We're gonna go over speaking of Friday the 13th and horror movies, we're gonna go over the Russian losses for the last 24 hours. Do a little bit of just show you something on the map, and then have some really interesting news on what I suspected was happening with the Russian Black Sea fleet, air quote fleet, what's left of them. Um, anyway, so I won't jump too far ahead. It's kind of cool. It's interesting. But to start off with, let's go over the losses really. I don't know quickly, but the butt kicking continues for the Russian military. They've now broken back into four figures and lost approximately 1,030 infantry that will no longer be taking part in this 3 day special military operation. 26 tanks, which is extraordinarily high. Not high for the last few days, but in general. So we're sitting at day 597. And so 10 tanks a day would be 5,970, obviously. You can see the tanks are sitting at 4,931 lost. So they're losing around 9 tanks a day. So you can use that as a judge for whether this was a good day or a bad day, so to speak, for losses. Every day is a bad day for the Russians. Their losses are no one has lost this kind of equipment since the middle of World War II. Like, it is just astounding. But anyways, so 26 tanks, 49 APVs. Before this past week, that would be considered exceptional for the Ukrainians to take out that many APVs. We broke 90 a couple of days ago. So this is like a dramatic slowdown, but still 49 APVs, call it 50 APVs. Each one of those APVs, like I've said before, typically would have a crew of two and can carry 6 to 8 infantry, depending on which one it is. Some of them are IFVs, some of them are MTLBs, some of them are, oh god, I'm losing all the acronyms. But anyways, so some of them can be used for actual troop transport, battle taxis, Kazovacs, etc., fighting vehicles, whatever. But if you take it on average, if you take 50 of them and you put on average, 5 people in each, 10 people in each of them would be 500. 5 people in each of them would be 250. Chop that in half, that's 125. Even if it was just 125 potential troops lost. But I can tell you that a lot of these armored personnel vehicles and tanks, etc., they were not abandoned like they typically are in some of the FPV and drone videos and artillery videos that you see. A lot of these ones were lost in Avdiivka, and they were definitely at least had crew in them, if not troops. 44 artillery, which is very high. Artillery. Oh yeah, I wanted to point out something too. APVs, so armored personal vehicles, they're not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. A few $100,000, $700,000, whatever, depending on which one it is. Some of them can be higher end, but on average, the Russians have lost 11 billion US dollars worth of APVs. Artillery, 44 artillery lost in a day. That's 44, everything from mortars to SPGs, self-propelled guns. They've lost $17 billion worth of artillery in this conflict. That's just staggering. Like, most countries don't have this in their arsenal today, let alone losing it in one day. 17 UAVs. There was one special equipment, I think. Yeah. So a little light on that side. One cruise missile, one anti-aircraft warfare system. Those are expensive. $91.3 billion in losses. Please give me a like, share, subscribe, or I'll call the cops on you. I swear to God, I will. Like and share and subscribe right now, or keep an eye on your driveway. Okay. So moving on to so where are these losses taking place? I'm sure if you've not been living under a rock for the last week or at least 4 days, I'd say 4 days. Um, I personally think that the Russians basically looked at what Hamas attempted and what they did in Israel, which was basically overwhelming forces from multiple different directions in an unexpected place. I think somebody got the memo and said, "Let's give it a shot in Avdiivka." So, oh darn it! I didn't drag the map over. You dummy, big dummy. Let's drag that over. This was supposed to go. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So, this is Andrew Perpetua's map. It's fantastic. This is what he does all day. He basically has probably the most accurate map out there, plus all of these indicators. The yellow R is something to see, like artillery. Red is Russian attacks typically. Blue is Ukrainian attacks. He's got them, like here's a white phosphorus attack. This is a drone. Oh, sorry, airstrike. Yeah, that's airstrike. Obviously, that's a plane. Ukrainian drone attack. Right. So he's kind of maps it all out. But I just wanted to point this out to you. One, it's a really good map, a really really good map. And then two, I just wanted to kind of show you where the vast majority of the losses are. So this is the Avdiivka region. These are the two main vectors that the Russians were using in the south of Avdiivka to try to encircle it. And then these are the two main vectors in the north. These have been complete wipeouts. Now this yellow area is the contested area. Red is obviously Russian. Bluey, whatever, emerald is being held by the Ukrainians. And so, yes, have the Russians basically advanced in certain areas and expanded this contested zone? For sure. Have they lost hundreds and hundreds of pieces of equipment in the last 72 hours? Yes. Have they lost 2,700 approximately troops, if I'm doing my math correctly, in the last 3 days? Yes. 2,700 troops. Over 1,000. Then they had a 990, and then they had six something, I think it was. Anyways, I might be wrong, but I'm off by 100 or so, but here or there. But so, anyways, just wanted to point out to you that while I don't want to sell short what's going on in the rest of the front line, obviously you see all these strikes. You see all these strikes here, right? The Ukrainians are. These are GMLRS strikes, right? And then, so they're clearly hitting the Russians. And then in the south, you can see almost predominantly in this area, this almost has seemed to have slowed down in the Opitny, Orikhiv, etc. area. And it just seems like the Ukrainians are consolidating potentially. And the Russians are basically kind of hitting them in the rear and the logistics lines and the ground lines of communication, that sort of thing. But anyways, I just wanted to point out to you, if you're wondering, is this accurate that the Russians are losing everything the Ukrainians say they're losing? Yes, there's tons and tons of video to back it up. And where is it happening? It is, I don't know, I'll estimate 80% of the losses that you're seeing, 70% to 80% of the losses that you're seeing over the last 3 days. The massive spike is all in this area right here and in this area right here. And these roads are littered, just littered. So first of all, you can see all of the artillery. I don't think, you're not going to be able to see. I was hoping you're not going to be able to see the equipment there, but trust me that each of these roads are just absolutely littered with wiped out, destroyed Russian equipment. And I believe it was this road right here. As the Russians were snaking along here, they came to almost a stop at each one of these turns, and every time that they did, they got absolutely smoked. So there, I'm not going to show it. There's been dozens and dozens and dozens of videos out there. You can find them online if you want to see them. If you haven't seen them already, if you want me to show them in the future, I can. But there you go. So we'll see if this continues on. Typically, we see a slowdown in at least the count on Sunday to Monday, but we'll see what tomorrow looks like. At some point, the Russians in Vuhledar, for example, kept going for almost 2 weeks before they finally culminated and said, okay, we're out of men and equipment, we're going to stop. This has only been like day 3, really, of this hard push, but it is the worst wipeout of the war. I can't stress that enough. The Russians have not lost this amount of men and equipment combined in a 72-hour period in the entire war. They have lost like 1,000 guys here and there. They've lost like 15, 20 tanks here and there, maybe 15 APCs one day, 26 the next, back down to 10, whatever. Never consistently have we seen such a high number of tanks, APVs, troops, and artillery. So there you go. So if you guys remember, I think it was 2 days ago, I did a video. And I talked about one of the Russian ships being hit and potentially running over its own mine. That's the report. And I said, but leave it to the Russians to claim that they ran over their own mine, that there's nothing to see here, that all Ukrainian drones were destroyed, minor damage, the ship will be back at sea in no time, whatever. And I basically said that's typical Russian sort of psyops and reverse OPSEC and everything else. And if you hear that from the Russians, there's a good chance it's the opposite. So when they say nobody was lost, everybody was lost. When they say the ship is not damaged, it was damaged. When they say the damage is minor, it's major. If they eventually say we ran over our own mine, it was most likely Ukrainians USV or drone or something like that. So to start off with, not to say that he's completely credible, but the Russian mill blogger Rybar, who sometimes has delivered some insightful information, has speculated today that the Ukrainian had used underwater drones to hit the Pavel Derzhavin patrol vessel, which is the one we talked about a couple of days ago, that supposedly ran over its own mine in the Sevastopol port. And later, the tugboat that was sent to haul the damaged ship to port. Ukraine unveiled the Marichka underwater drone in August. That is the big black underwater, looks just like a massive torpedo. So this is from a fisherman. About an hour ago when leaving Sevastopol Bay, Ukrainian formations attacked the patrol ship Pavel Derzhavin. Project 22-160. So this is a report we hadn't seen before. When we were told that the Russians had been stating, or the Ukrainians had been stating unofficially, that this ship ran over a mine, and now it turns out this report cropped up of a fisherman basically saying that the boat had been attacked by drones. Unfortunately, the ship received damage to the rudder group. To provide assistance, a tug was sent to Derzhavin, which was also attacked by the enemy. The ships remained underway, but the extent of the damage is unknown. What is curious about the situation is that the epicenter of the explosion was underwater. This may indicate the use of fully submersible unmanned attack boats, which is really bad English, and it's not an attack boat if it's underwater. But this explains the absence of any opposition from the ship's crew. They were not noticed. So basically, it sounds like there's whoever noticed this happening to these ships, they didn't see any sort of preemptive or return fire from the ships. Moreover, the Ukrainian armed forces already have drones of this type. So, this is the okay. So here's the SBU from the Ukrainian intelligence branch basically saying that a source in the intelligence branch saying they've confirmed it hit two Russian Black Sea naval ships over the last 3 days in joint operation by the Navy and the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU, using air quote experimental weaponry. A source in the SBU told the Kyiv Post that the missile carrier Buyan, which is this one right here, right, was attacked on Friday, today, in Ukraine, while the Pavel Derzhavin, which is the one we talked about a couple of days ago. The source said after the first detonation, Russian minesweepers and divers were unable to discover our know-how, basically. They were unable to discover what caused the damage, what attacked the ship. They added that the Russian submarine called the Alroza was lucky and managed to escape. The carrier of cruise missiles Buyan could not repeat the feat of the Alroza. So this is kind of lost in translation, right? But you get it. Therefore, it was struck today during the Sevastopol raid by the experimental weapons of sea babies, the source said. Now, the source said sea babies. However, and it could be a combination, right? So let me just, what is just so you know the difference. Ukrainian sea baby. So let's do this. Oh, God. I will not pay for premium. I swear to God. We're just all gonna tough these. So this is a Sea Baby, which was used to attack both ships and I believe the Kerch Bridge in the past. This is the granddaddy so far of the surface ships that the Ukrainians produced. It has all sorts of electronics, proximity, cameras, night vision, thermal, and a massive amount, like 800 pounds of explosives, I believe. This is all engine and explosives. And here's here's the Kerch Bridge. Boom. So it just drives underneath the bridge and blows up. So anyways, so that's the Sea Baby. This is the Marichka. So this is the second test, and I didn't want to go look for it, but there was a first test where they lowered the Marichka down into the water at night. And again, they had parts of it blurred out or whatever, and they said basically we're testing a new weapon. And then here it is in a daytime test on September 26th. And I will show you this. Lowered in the water, and you'll see the propulsion area is blurred out, as well as the special forces or techs or whoever these guys are, and they're just basically taking it out for a spin. Doesn't look like it's got a propeller, so to me it looks like it's kind of a intake, water intake, jet propulsion, who knows. It's got a couple of fins down there, stabilizing fins. Sorry. And 4 guys get on it and it doesn't even sink it, so it's got some good buoyancy. And it looks like it's towing that boat, to be honest with you, so. Just a kind of sea trial. Anyways, so to clarify again, there was a strike on the ship on Wednesday, and that one was definitely purported to be an underwater strike. That's where they claim that they hit a drone or a sea mine, their own sea mine, not giving any credit to the Ukrainians whatsoever. And then today, and again, things are lost in translation. The stories get blurred, that sort of stuff. But today, possibly it was a surface USV like a Sea Baby, or potentially it was yet another one under an underwater drone like the Marichka. And of course, this video is absolutely frozen my screen, which is fantastic. But hit the hit the ship today, hit it in the rear, and actually cause some damage. And if I ever get this unfrozen, you'll see that there is some smoke coming out of the rear. And they also targeted a Kilo class submarine. Okay, what do we got here? I'm gonna close this down. Don't you love just technical issues? Okay, so let's close that down. You've seen it, you know what's going on there. Oh my goodness, this is painful. I'm not stopping and re-recording this. I swear, this is just, we've all been here and done this, and it's a massive pain. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but anyways, if I can get this rolling again, I will. If not, you'll have to trust me on it. But the ship that was hit today, there's a video of it way off in the distance, and black smoke is pouring out of it. And then, as per the Russian reports, the Ukrainian reports, and Rybar, etc., a Kilo class sub, which is right there. There's the sub that was targeted. It got away. So I don't think the Ukrainians have the ability to track, target, and hit subs that are underneath the water and under their own power. So to me, I would guess that this submarine, this Kilo class submarine, was either on the surface inside the port of Sevastopol, or it was leaving port and about to, submerge and go on patrol or go on attack or something like that. And the Ukrainians basically might have taken a shot at it while it was on the surface. That's my guess. I'll see if I've got the video. 1 second. Aha. Yes, this is it. That's what I want to show you. So this is the Bullion class Corvette off in the distance. So you're going to see the Corvette right here. You see the black smoke coming out. So something struck it. And there is a patrol helicopter. Looks like a K-52 Alligator. And it would be looking for drones. But see all the smoke pouring out? So it was clearly struck in the rear, and damage was done. Let's watch it one more time. And it is still moving forward, so it's still under its own power for the moment, but then it seems to almost stop. Like, it's not moving fast. I can tell you that. So there you go. So you've got one ship struck. Definitely needed tugboats. You've got another and probably struck underwater. You've got another ship struck in the rear, potentially Rybar's claiming by Sea Babies. You've got a submarine that was targeted and apparently got away. It got lucky. And the Ukrainians are telling the truth when they admit their defeats or they admit their near misses. If this was the Russians, they would say they sunk the sub and everything was great and it went perfectly. The Ukrainians basically say, nope, that one got away. We'll get you next time. But so there you go. So keep an eye out. There's more from this coming out. But when the Ukrainians are stating that they've hit ships with experimental weapons, that typically tells me it's something we haven't seen before. The Sea Baby, I don't think qualifies as experimental anymore. The Sea Baby qualifies as like a proven platform. So I would bet one, if not both, of those ships that were hit by underwater USVs, torpedo-like vehicles. But we'll see. So There's your news and tidbits for the day. Hope you found this interesting. Again, please like, subscribe, share. Um, Appreciate your support, and have a great Friday the 13th. Slava Ukraini.